This young woman finally had her wishes come true when she toured a national park. However, an unexpected encounter with a gorilla, and what it did to her left everyone in shock. As the jeep crossed the savannah, Paulina's gaze fell upon a group of giraffes and African buffaloes. Grazing in the distance, she felt her heart burst with excitement. She had always been captivated by the majestic creatures she saw in TV documentaries. From lions to elephants, she dreamed of witnessing them in their natural habitat. In that day, she finally got the chance she had been waiting for. She had recently earned a month's leave from work, and she knew exactly how she wanted to spend it. An adventure to a national park far away from her home country, Africa, seemed like a world away. But she couldn't wait to experience the thrill of being surrounded by nature's wonders. And now that she was right in the middle of it, she felt like she was living a dream come true. As the tour progressed, the anticipation grew, especially for the most exciting part, the gorilla section. Paulina couldn't contain her excitement at the thought of finally meeting her favorite animals. However, before they set off for this thrilling adventure, the guide issued a stern warning: stay close and never wander off into the jungle alone. Paulina nodded in agreement, unaware of the unexpected encounter awaiting her as they drove deeper into the vast jungle. The vehicles came to a halt. The guides informed her that they were close to where the gorillas roamed and urged her to be patient. They emphasized the importance of staying at a distance as gorillas were territorial creatures. Paulina eagerly listened, her heart racing with anticipation. Despite the excitement, she felt an urgent need to relieve herself. She explained her situation to the guides, who pointed her to a spot not too far away where she could go. They assured her they would keep watch in case of emergencies. Paulina hurried off, hoping that by the time she returned, they would have spotted the gorillas. As she reached the spot to relieve herself, she encountered an unexpected problem. She couldn't go. No matter how hard she tried, her bladder felt like was about to burst. Yet, Paulina tried to relax, but she simply couldn't. A tight knot formed in her stomach as she realized what was happening. She had a shy bladder. Anxiety washed over her, making it nearly impossible to relieve herself, especially with other tourists nearby. She had never been comfortable doing something so private in public. And now the pressure felt unbearable. Desperate and on the verge of bursting, Paulina made a risky choice. Ignoring the guide's strict warning to stay with the group, she slipped deeper into the jungle, hoping to find a quiet, hidden spot. She knew it was wrong, but the urgency drowned out every logical thought. Finally, surrounded by thick vegetation and far from any wandering eyes, Paulina breathed a long sigh of relief and let go. The weight lifted off her body, and even the jungle seemed to exhale with her, leaves rustling softly, as if sharing her relief. When she zipped up her pants and turned to head back, something in her heart hesitated. The jungle looked breathtaking. Beams of sunlight filtering through lush green canopies, tiny insects humming through the air, and glimpses of color from butterflies drifting near the trees. Maybe she could capture a photo, just one, of a hummingbird or a busy little bee. Curiosity nudged her forward. She promised herself she'd rejoin the group soon. But the deeper she went, the more unsettling the silence became. A strange stillness settled around her, making her skin prickle. She tried to shake off the fear creeping into her chest, until the sharp crack of a breaking twig shattered the quiet. Paulina froze. Slowly, she turned toward the sound, and her blood ran cold. A shadowy figure loomed between the trees, enormous, powerful. Its sheer size sent a bolt of terror through her entire body. Her breath caught in her throat as she tried to decide whether to run or quietly retreat. Before she could act, the creature stepped forward, revealing itself, a massive, majestic gorilla. Her heart dropped. She had known gorillas lived in this area, but she never imagined meeting one alone, deep in the jungle, with no guide in sight. As it approached, dread washed over her. She prayed, begged, for her tour group to notice her absence, But she already knew she had wandered far too deep. No one was coming quickly enough. Then the gorilla bared its teeth and let out a thunderous roar that shook her to her core. Paulina froze, trembling uncontrollably. Gorillas were unbelievably strong, capable of harm with the slightest effort. She had no weapon, no plan, no chance. But then she remembered something she once read about surviving encounters with large animals. Play dead. With nothing else to rely on, she collapsed to the ground, forcing herself to go limp. She tried to slow her breathing, though her heart hammered so violently she feared the animal could hear it. Heavy footsteps approached. Closer, closer, until the gorilla was standing over her like a living mountain. She braced for the worst. Instead, she felt gentle hands lift her from the ground. Her eyes flew open. The gorilla was carrying her. It held her carefully, surprising her with its strange tenderness as it transported her deeper into the jungle. Panic surged through her veins as she realized she was completely at its mercy. At last, the gorilla reached a clearing and placed her softly on the ground, not tossing or dragging her. Confused and terrified, Paulina watched as it stepped back and simply observed her. Quiet, calm, curious. Minutes passed in a surreal silence. The gorilla sat down in front of her, staring with an almost human-like intensity. Fear made Paulina's hands tremble, but there was something in the creature's gaze. Something almost gentle. It felt as though it understood her fear, rather than feeding off it. If it wanted to harm her, it would have done so already. Gathering her courage, she slowly sat up. The gorilla watched her closely, fascinated by every move she made. Trying to bridge the strange moment between them, Paulina carefully reached for her backpack. The gorilla tilted its head, studying her. She pulled out a loaf of bread and broke off a piece, placing it in her mouth to show it was safe. The gorilla's eyes widened. It reached out, took a chunk, and ate it, mimicking her actions exactly. Piece by piece, they shared the bread, forming a silent, unexpected bond. When the loaf was gone, Paulina offered her last bananas. Again, the gorilla copied everything she did, chewing the fruit the same way. Fear in her chest slowly melted into awe. She needed help, though. She couldn't find her way back alone. Remembering her phone, she dialed her tour guide. The call connected, but the signal flickered so badly that they could barely hear each other. The voice cut in and out, leaving communication nearly impossible. While she tried to make the call, the gorilla continued to watch her affectionately, even playfully. It mirrored her movements, tilting its head when she did, lifting its arm when she lifted hers. Then, without warning, the gorilla approached her. It tapped her backpack, then turned its back to her, inviting her to climb on. Paulina hesitated, then accepted. With trembling hands, she climbed onto the gorilla's broad back, holding tightly as the majestic creature began to walk through the jungle with her. And unbelievably, it guided her back toward familiar terrain. Soon, the figures of her tour guides emerged between the trees. Exhausted, frantic, and utterly confused by the sight before them. Their jaws dropped as they saw Paulina riding a gorilla like a child on a parent's shoulders. The gorilla stopped. Paulina slid off and gently reassured the guides not to panic. Then, something extraordinary happened. The gorilla stepped forward, pulled Paulina into a soft embrace, and pressed a gentle kiss onto her hair. A display of emotion so human-like that everyone watching felt their hearts swell. With one last look, the gorilla turned and disappeared into the forest. Back at the lodge, Paulina recounted the unbelievable story to stunned listeners. Word spread quickly. By the next morning, she was a sensation, a local celebrity. Tourists flocked to hear the tale from her own lips. And soon even a journalist published her story, which went viral. When her trip ended and she prepared to leave Africa, she knew one thing for certain. He would return, but next time. She hoped her adventure wouldn't involve pretending to be dead. or facing a creature twice her size alone in the jungle. What about you? How would you feel if you turned around in the jungle and found a giant gorilla staring back at you? Would you ever venture that deep into the forest alone? Let us know in the comments. And thank you for joining this extraordinary adventure.